everyone, to another episode of Spooky Japan Podcast. Hoping everyone is doing well today. We have a very special guest rejoining us that we've been excited about. Always a good show with Lawrence. How you doing, Lawrence?
Oh, not bad. Thanks for having me back on. I'm glad to be here. I think last time we talked was about what 3 hours of chaos, me, you, and Irene.
Yeah,
But yeah, no, glad to be back here.
it's also why we're running late. Doing this show is interesting backstage commentary. It's
Yeah.
always a fun time when Lawrence joins us. So we were excited to have him back on.
Oh,
But for
well.
anyone who maybe didn't catch you last time and not familiar with you, how would you introduce yourself again? And how did your journey into the paranormal start?
Well, for those who don't know me, my name is Lawrence. I am the creator of the Monodocs YouTube channel. I started the channel back in 2019, actually, late 2019. The whole idea of the channel was to be basically about, it was just going to be just a traditional, somewhat traditional documentary channel concentrating on the strange, the unusual side of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, New York, and so forth, and maybe dabble in the paranormal. But the pandemic happened, everything shut down. So I figured, well, a good way to avoid people is go to cemeteries, just do videos at cemeteries, abandoned places, and eventually started going to more haunted locations. And the more haunted places I went to, the more intrigued I became, the more fascinated I became with the paranormal. And it just kind of went off, went from there. But I've always been a big horror fanatic. That includes the paranormal. I started investigating back in '06. And, when I say investigating, I mean going to some haunted woods or an abandoned building with like a shitty little camera taking pictures and thinking orbs are a real thing. Like, oh, see the dust particle? That's a ghost. But 2019 is where things, really started. And then 2020, I got really heavy into the paranormal, journey, if you want to call it that.
I feel like with when COVID hit, that wasn't obviously a good time, especially with the lockdown. But a lot of people said paranormal investigation wise, it was good because places that are used to holding events would start holding more private investigations to try and get that money back. Because
Yeah.
obviously, you can't hold events, so they're just like, what else can we do? And they're just like, we were able to investigate more places based on that.
Yeah. I know I went to, kind of. I mean, I mainly stuck with somewhat abandoned stuff, abandoned locations, like old tunnels and little buildings here and there. Um, but when I really got into the paranormal side of things, luckily restrictions were lifting, and the pandemic was pretty much dying down at that point. But it was a good year to get away from people, to go to your graveyard with a camera and just kind of film and not worry about running to people. But yeah, I can definitely see that. I can definitely see locations uh, suffering from the lack of events, and to make up for lost revenue, what's the next best thing? Just start or invite smaller investigations. But but yeah, it's been a pretty crazy journey so far. 2019. It feels like a long time ago.
I
and
know.
and the funny thing is, like I said, I mean, the main idea wasn't really going to be all paranormal. Just so happens, my first video ever was at a haunted lake in New Jersey. Um, Little did I know that it was going to take off and be mostly haunted explorations and so forth.
And then obviously it led to, like, we always joke around. Like, anytime there's a paranormal event in Gettysburg, I'm always just like, why is Lawrence's name not on there as doing part of this event?
It helps that Gettysburg is 2 hours away, so it's really close. I'm going down the 9th, actually, of October to shoot a new short documentary. It's kind of a secret project. I'll tell you about it after the stream is over, but I'm really excited for it. And yeah, my first time there is back in 2020, August 2020. And it was my friend and I, we went to this bed and breakfast. And it was an old 1800s building. It was a field hospital. It was a sharpshooter's nest during the Battle of Gettysburg. It was the Farnsworth House. I've been there maybe
Mhm.
15 times now since then. But the first time I went there, I just fell in love with it. The whole town I fell in love with. I mean, Gettysburg is a beautiful, quaint little town with little ghost tour shops in every corner. And there's just so much, obviously, so much history with the town, and there's so much energy with it too. Um, and it's just, I don't know. A lot of people see this, but when I first went there, it felt like home. And when I got there, I just turned the GPS off. It's like I almost knew where I was going, basically in Gettysburg. And I'm like,
Mhm.
that's really weird. But it turns out that's a very common occurrence for a lot of people. They go to Gettysburg and they feel like they've been there before, and they feel like they're at home, which is a
Mhm.
really strange feeling. Uh,
Mhm.
so I'm not sure if that's something about the town itself. I mean, it is the most haunted town in America. It is
Mhm.
extremely haunted. Wherever you go in that place, you're going to have some kind of activity. Doesn't even have to be Civil War or battle related. It can be
Mhm.
just something that happened there in the past. And like the Farnsworth House, yeah, there are Confederate soldiers who haunt that building, but there's a midwife, there's a young boy who haunts the place. There's I think a funeral director or an undertaker who haunts a few buildings in downtown Gettysburg as well. So there's a lot of non-Civil War spirits that linger around the town of Gettysburg, which I think makes it even more intriguing and maybe even mysterious and why it's so active. But yeah, who knows?
There's also Gettysburg is one of those best places, I would say, that I've talked about this on a show before, that kind of has its own if you believe in the whole time slip or time goes over each other, what
Oh,
I don't even.
yeah, I mean that's my favorite theory about most hauntings. I think most of the time it's definitely some kind of time slip or a dimension crossover.
Mhm.
I mean, Gettysburg is a good example of that. Um, People report seeing phantom troops coming in and out of the woods, um, phantom soldiers walking here and there, phantom cannon fire, musket fire. That's a very common occurrence people have. Um, when I was at the Conjuring House, the original, the real Conjuring House in Rhode Island, we were filming in the backyard, and when I was cutting together the footage, we caught an EVP of a child asking, "Are you a ghost?" And it's clear as day. And that video's on YouTube at the Conjuring House. And I just wondered, what if it's a former occupant of the house, a young girl, maybe one of the parents' daughters, who knows? They're in the backyard and they're playing, doing whatever, and they hear three jackasses come in the backyard asking questions. Are they gonna wonder, why am I hearing voices? What if that person is still there in the 70s, 60s, 50s, or
Mhm.
even the 1800s, and they hear us in their backyard? If you're a young kid and you're in the backyard playing and you hear random voices that are disembodied, you can't see them,
Mhm.
you're probably gonna ask,
Hmm.
are you a ghost? Um, so
Yeah.
I think that's a strong indication that there may be some kind of time slip or some kind of crossover happening. Even in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, which is Mothman land, in the old World War II bunkers where Mothman is reported to be living. Um, those bunkers were used during World War II to store TNT and other explosives. They were used by the military. So we're in there, we're filming, and then later on, once again, going through the footage, we get an EVP of a man asking, like, hello, like, as if who's there. So, and he sounds like he's in a bunker with us, and it's so eerie. And what if it's some military officer working, doing some paperwork, storing explosives, whatever, and he hears us, disembodied voices, coming into the bunker talking? He's gonna probably ask, hello, who's there? So I don't know. I'm a big fan of that theory. I have no scientific evidence to back it up, but it's a fun theory overall.
I
I was watching
heard.
part of an interview from Kalani, the ghost hunter, and
Hmm.
he said he kind of said the same thing when we go into a location and there's obviously someone else there, and you always assume it's a ghost.
Hmm.
And
Mhm.
he's like, I recommend stopping that. And he said he went in there and he no longer says, he doesn't ask how you die. He just basically says, what's the last thing you remember? Kind of
Hmm.
Mhm.
pieces up from there. But he also will ask, what year is it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And he said one time he got a response that said, and this kind of changed his thinking from it might be a ghost if if something's there you can't see it, or you hear it but you can't see it. It's like what changed my mind on if it's anything paranormal or a ghost related is when he asked one time at an investigation, what year is it to you? And they said like 2048.
Huh.
And they thought they were investing to them, and they said it's 2048 to them. They were investigating and they thought he was the ghost.
Mm.
Yeah. What if others are investigating? What if you have, by chance, you're at a location investigating, and in their distant future, someone else is at the same location also investigating, and you sync
Mhm.
it up just right,
Yeah.
and you have that communication, you
Yeah.
know, um, which I think is mind-boggling, but I think it's likely. I think that's more plausible than you're talking to those who are deceased. I think that's also a part of it. I'm sure that is, you know, definitely a scenario within the paranormal, but I think it's more likely you are discussing or having a conversation with someone or communicating with someone who isn't deceased; they're still alive, but
Mhm.
in another time period.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that's more interesting than just talking to
Yeah.
dead people. It's. I don't think it's the case all the time. I think there's definitely cases where you are communicating with someone who was once living, but I think it goes. It could be a thousand different things. Who knows?
It goes beyond that. I had a spirit tell me his name, rank, and serial number, and he was a Air Force pilot in the British Army,
Oh wow.
and it was so interesting. And I saw, he showed me what happened to him, and there was a bomb dropped from an airplane, and they all died because they all got hit on the head
Oh wow.
by
Where
one of
were
those things. Yeah.
where were you investigating?
I was watching a stream, right, where somebody else was investigating, and this guy comes out and he told me his name, his rank, and his serial number, and what he was. And then he told me how he died, and he showed me exactly how he died.
Wow.
And I said, "Oh my god!" And I went like that. And I said, "I don't know if I can tell you how he died." He goes, "Well, you gotta tell us." And I said, "Well, it's kind of gory, you know." I don't know if I want to. But anyways, I came out and said it, and yeah, and Facebook pinched me for saying something like that. Oh shit!
Wow.
Here we go again.
What do you think of the idea of investigating through like live streams or anything like that? Like if you're at a location, for example, if Amanda's at a location investigating and she's also live streaming, Irene, you're asking questions in the chat, for example. Is it is it likely that spirits would communicate through that live stream? So
They
so they
do.
so they're
They
aware.
do.
Okay.
They do. They communicate through the live stream, especially if you know that they're there and they see you and you see them.
Hmm.
They'll tell you anything that you want to tell them,
Hmm.
anything that you want to ask,
Now, I've seen
and
that before. I've seen that happen before. I think it's interesting.
they'll answer questions. It's just really, yeah, it's just a little bit different, right? Some of the stuff that I see, it's like, ooh, no thanks. Like, yeah,
Not
but
everyone should be investigating live
no,
streams, though. Because
No.
I know.
for some odd reason, people are starting to do that more, and it's just, and a lot of people said, unfortunately, they made that situation worse. Just
Yeah,
because, like I said, not everyone should be. I mean, Irene's clairvoyant, so it's different for her. But other
yeah,
people are just like, yeah, I'm going to try and investigate through. I'm just gonna remotely have this person says they have a haunted house, so I'll just FaceTime them,
Hmm.
and it's like
yeah.
it doesn't work, especially if you're not sensitive,
No,
and obviously you don't have any equipment on site to be
Yeah.
able to actually pick up anything. I
and
don't know
you
why
don't know
people are
what the heck
starting
you're
to.
What's
doing,
the
right?
point? Yeah, because I've
Yeah, and
seen
I'm
like,
like, but I've been hearing that some people are starting to do that, and I'm like, why? What are you
Yeah,
actually getting?
yeah.
what's the point of it? Like, you're
And
not. What do
if you
you?
don't know what the heck you're doing, you could be in a whole lot of trouble. Let's put it that
Right.
way.
Right.
Like, well, Irene can. I'm like, well, Irene's different.
I feel like
Not
if you're
everyone
a
should be calling. Not everyone should be like, hey, there's a ghost in my house. Let me give you a call.
First off, I would pay big money to have Irene come investigate with me. So I think this should be a spooky Japan goes to Gettysburg adventure. And you guys should exclusively live stream from Gettysburg. Make it happen, Irene. Book the flight.
Yeah.
Get
Oh, I'm supposed to be going, not next year, the year after next. I'm supposed to be taking a trip to America because my friends want me to visit them. So, yeah, we might do something, right?
where in America are you gonna go?
West Virginia,
A lot of haunted places, West
Ohio,
Virginia.
Texas, maybe Indiana if I have a chance to. I got friends all over the place.
There's West Virginia is a great place to go to. It's
Yeah,
it's it's creepy and it's a beautiful state, but it has
yeah,
its own creepiness to
yeah.
it.
And my friend had lived in a house. It's the tree smashed it, and the house is still there, but yeah, it's friggin' haunted because underneath it was a cemetery,
Oh wow, I know the
and they
house.
could, yeah, and they couldn't remove all the old caskets that are buried under the soil because they will fall apart.
I hope there's no
So
septic
they just built a friggin'
overflow.
house on top of it, right? And she wants me to go there and see what I can find. I go, oh, you're kidding, right?
Oof.
I need to start doing that more because I also have that same gift Irene does, and it's starting. And the reason, and I had it when I was younger, and I kind of grew up with it, but I had to kind of like, I kind of had to get the Mothman. Fun fact about the Mothman is he's starting to be seen all over the world.
Hmm.
Oh, even up
South
here.
South
There,
Africa just recently said that they saw him
I
there
think I, I
too.
think I remember you saying that last time. Yeah, even up here, where I am, maybe 30 minutes up north in this very small little town, they're reporting an owl man, like an owl shaped man. So
Hmm.
it's like a it's like, are you sure it's not Mothman making his way up to Pennsylvania, getting away from the West Virginia mountains? But it's, yeah, there. I think even Chicago, someone had a sighting of some kind of
Hmm.
Mothman-like creature. So there's a lot of random sightings of such a thing. Maybe it's just giant mutant birds who are,
Mm.
on steroids, flying around. But who knows? I mean,
Yeah.
it's the whole thing. Even with most cryptids, like Bigfoot
Mhm.
especially. I mean, there are so many things we don't know about.
No.
I mean, even I'm sure even throughout Africa, maybe even the jungles of South America, there's creatures that we don't know exist. The oceans, deep in the bottom of the ocean, there
Yeah.
are creatures we don't know that exist. Um, so I'm sure there's some, you know, organic um, animals that we don't know about.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Mothman is a real thing, but I'm sure the possibility of a giant winged creature. It's not that far fetched,
No.
my opinion. But
Um. Do you think after COVID, do you think things got really weird, or
yeah, the whole world got a little weird.
I think
because
that's when we started entering more the Mandela effect.
because
Yeah,
I haven't had arrests since after COVID. like everybody's house is haunted, right? And I said, and I'm finding that I'm doing one residential after another. I haven't even had time to even rest and get my energy back together. And here I am at it again. I go, oh God. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm done. Like
Well,
I'm just I
I
haven't had time to regenerate myself, and I'm just going, "Ugh, here we go again. Let's do it again." Like, I got black rings around my eyes. I look like a raccoon, and I'm going,
I think I really need to nap. But I think I think lately, even in the last year, the idea of the paranormal has grown so much. And
yeah.
it's become so not mainstream, but accessible.
Mm-hmm.
Where now, to go back to the live stream investigation, concept, you have the ability to do investigations from your phone with other people. You can go live
Mm-hmm.
on TikTok and
Mm-hmm.
investigate with thousands of people, which
Mm-hmm.
is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's the thing. You can do that. So I
Yeah.
think we're becoming more maybe open-minded of sorts. Maybe we're opening up something perhaps when it comes to communicating with whatever is out there. I don't know. I mean, I think everything is weird after COVID. I mean,
Yeah.
you shut the world down for a few months or a year, a collective mentality is going to, you know, become
Mm-hmm.
warped. But when it comes to paranormal activity, I don't know. Like I said, it's becoming much more accessible. And I think a lot more people now have more access to the ability to investigate. Um, and I'm curious to see what the results will be from that in the next couple of years. But I don't know. But at the end of the day, ghost hunting's for everybody, in my opinion. If you're curious, if you want to investigate, you want to research, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it responsibly, of course.
Yeah.
Be responsible. You should be respectful.
Yeah.
And know what you're getting yourself into, know what you're doing, know who you're trying to communicate with or have an idea.
Mm-hmm.
And and of course be aware of the drama that comes with it. But it's just yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
That's why a lot of people, and I have mixed feelings on public investigations where it's not just one group, it's like someone hosting it and
Yeah, yeah.
anyone can join. And I always have mixed feelings about those because it's good for someone who maybe wants to see if this is for me to go there and get in there. But I tell people, unfortunately, someone who has investigated, I'm like, oh, this would be a good place I want to go visit, so I'm going to
Yeah.
join. And I'm like, it sucks for someone like me because a lot of those people go there and they're just like they have the expectation of TV,
Oh
so they
yeah,
go there,
yeah.
And
yeah,
they got
and
as
then
much patience as a gnat, right? Yeah.
they go there to these public investigations, and I've been to so many that ended early because the
Yeah.
people were just like, "This is more boring than I thought." There's
You're
one, like, after the tour ended and
kids,
we started to do the investigation, 45 minutes
right?
into the investigation, the owner is like, "Hey, everyone else wants to leave, so I guess we're gonna call it a night." And that sucks for someone like me who wanted to be there the whole entire time, but everyone else was just like, I didn't realize it was this boring. And I have talked to someone who says when they do the public events, they tell everyone, "Hey, I'm not sure what your how much
Expectations
experience you
are
have into
that.
investigations, but just know this is not like television." I'm like, I wish other places would do that because they don't. And then I've been to so many that ended early, and that
Yeah.
sucks for
That's why I
me.
don't do public investigations or events. I mean, it's just I think events, like you said, I think they're great for starters. If it's something you want to do to see if it's something you want to get into, maybe go for it. But also at the same time, just buy a piece of equipment, maybe some cat motion balls or an audio recorder, or even use your phone and go to a haunted bed and breakfast somewhere. Spend the 200, maybe 250, whatever it may be. Spend the night somewhere with someone, with a friend, partner, whatever it may be, and
Mm-hmm.
then investigate on your own terms. Like in
Yeah.
Gettysburg, go back to that damn town. At the Farnsworth house, you can get a room there for maybe between 150, 250. And if you go in the winter, you're probably gonna be the only one there. And you save the whole house literally to yourself. You'll be the only one there. And if there's someone else
Wow.
there, they're probably gonna be asleep by 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, even midnight. So then you really still have the place to all by yourself that you can investigate. And that's a good experience to see if that's something you really want to get into, because it gets a little terrifying. But I know people who tell me, like, I want to go something with you. It'll be really fun. And it's like, all right, you can. Just be aware you're kind of just sitting there and talking to the wall in the darkness for about 2 hours.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
it's not like we see on TV. It's not like,
Mhm.
it's a lot of, it's like fishing. You're sitting
Yeah.
around basically.
Yeah, it's like they're
Uh,
not gonna show you, obviously, all the sitting around waiting,
yeah.
just because
No.
no one's gonna watch that.
Exactly. Now, some places, they're more active than others. You're gonna sit down and be like, "Oh my God, things are happening," which just happen every now and then. Depends on the location and the
Yeah.
type of day it is. But for the most part, yeah, investigating is kind of boring. So in my videos, I don't really do much investigating because it's a lot of dead air, basically. I mean, sometimes things don't happen on video. At least for me, when I'm investigating, not much has happened on video. But when I'm walking around with the camera, just doing whatever, that's when things start to happen. When I'm just kind of being casual about it, not really bothering whoever is there, like doing a walkthrough. I'm trying to think of a good example. A few places I'll just walk with my camera throughout the house or building, and you'll just got to catch an EVP that I was not expecting. Even Penhurst, the old state hospital, two of us, we walked into one building. We're the only ones there in the whole building. It was a big building too. And we're in there for 2 minutes. We're walking down the hallway, and you just hear a woman humming down the hallway. And we didn't even start investigating it. So sometimes things are going to happen right off the bat, but other times it's just sitting around. But it's sometimes that makes it fun too. It's about the experience you have with whoever you're with there, and and hopefully you get some evidence or an experience. So
If I ever go with you to Gettysburg, I'll sit in the middle of the room and I'll see what I can find, and they'll just come to me.
all right. The three of us will go to the Farnsworth house, okay?
Yeah.
And we'll have the whole place to ourselves. We'll investigate it. And Irene, you can conjure up and summon whoever is there. We'll sit you right in the middle of the
conjure.
room.
They'll come to me or they won't, right?
They'll conjure up Irene. They'll be like, "Oh, Irene's here. We've been
Oops.
expecting. We've been
And some of
expecting
them will
you."
disappear. Some of them will disappear, and some of them will not want to because they know that I can remove them too. So that's another part that probably, if they're angry or if they're, let's put it that they're not a good spirit, they'll try to run away from me because they
Gotcha.
know. But yeah, it's just a give and take thing, right?
And like and like the comment said before, not every location is the same. Every place is
No.
different.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a place like the Farnsworth House and the Shanley Hotel up in New York. You know that I've been to the Shanley up in Napanoch, New York, and that place. I've been there when it's extremely active. Disembodied footsteps, knocking on the doors, crazy EVPs, just insane activity. And other nights I've been there, not a damn thing, just quiet silence. And or go to an abandoned location and you'll get some EVPs there. So every place is every location is different, and every time you go to the location, it's going to be different too.
And every quirk has got their own quirks about it, and every spirit has their own hang-ups about certain things, and they'll talk about it, and some will just never want to talk to you ever again. like oh, okay, okay,
I
we're
can't
not.
even. There's countless investigations I've done where you don't get anything all night, so you're like, oh, it's okay, it's a slow night. And then as soon as you start putting equipment up, that's all of a sudden when you start hearing the voices or seeing things move, and you're like, okay, yeah, now that the cameras are off, you want to be active.
Oh, yeah. How about that? Like they wait until everything is off, and then they're like, "All right, I guess we'll come out now. We'll talk to you, I suppose." And it's like it's yeah, yeah. But
They
that's
probably
why,
had,
you
yeah,
always
they were
record.
probably bored. They had to be bored to be like, let's mess with them.
Yeah.
Let's not do anything. And then all of a sudden, when they stop recording, that's when we start doing stuff.
Well, when I was at Mid Orange, which was an old abandoned prison up in New York a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, I wasn't even recording. I did it later, but my friend and I, we walked into this one room by ourselves, and it's pitch black in there, complete darkness. And I didn't have my camera on me. It was in the other building. We're just walking around, hanging out, and maybe I did have it. I just didn't have it on. And I walk in there, and I'm joking around like, any ghosties here, blah blah blah. And we just hear a woman, like a woman's breath, like like a sigh, like 10 feet to our left. And it's like it was such a Scooby Doo moment, but the way it sighed, it was like as if they were like, "Oh, god damn it, people are here again." More people want to. All they want to do is
do you want?
Yeah,
right?
what do you want now? It was such a typical like, not again kind of sigh.
Whiz, here we go again.
But I wish I was recording it, and I wasn't, and that would have been because it was so loud. Even at the Shanley, up in New York, we were in bed, and we're the only ones in the whole inn. We're the only guests, and we got into bed, stopped filming because it's bedtime, and all of a sudden you just hear, well, bam, right on the door to our room. I'm like, really? You're gonna wait until now to,
yeah,
fist pound the door out of anger? But yeah, it's so spirits can be a little stubborn, or
Japanese
kind of
spirits
funny.
don't like cat balls. They hate them.
I've had
Some do,
someone.
some don't.
What's
I
up?
can understand with you, Irene, because it'd be like if we had Lawrence here on the show, and we're like, we're going to ask you yes/no questions. We obviously can see and hear him, but he has to also say it. He has to tap the ball to be able to answer, and he's just like, why can't I just tell you?
Yeah,
I think I should have a motion ball. I would just tap it. Hold on, maybe I do. Hold on, wait, bring it out. No, my balls are gone. There's they're in the other room. You can laugh, Irene, it's fine. But it's no, I actually agree with that. I think that's a good point. If you're a quote unquote spirit, and someone's trying to communicate with you, and they're asking you, hey, can you just tap this ball that lights up, makes fun colors? I would just be like, well, I'm right here. Why do I have to touch this cat toy? Like I can just I've had some.
I could just tell you, right?
I can just tell you, get that stupid audio recorder out. Let me just scream into it. But no, I've had some good results with motion balls. I used to love cat balls. I used to think that was actually my favorite piece of equipment to use, which is cat toys. But as time went on, I'm like, they're okay. Because they can be a little faulty at times, like K2 meters, like any piece of equipment, they can give false readings.
It's definitely one of those things where you have to have the building to yourself, because if someone walks by, even if it's not right next to it, it still might set it off. And I can't
your
say
voice, the vibrations from your voice can set it off. I've seen someone during an investigation shout just to be funny, and it set off the ball. So the vibrations from your voice, your footsteps, whatever it may be, can
any kind of movement
up.
will do it, right?
Yep.
Even if it's a tree nearby that rustles really loud, that could happen too. So I don't know.
Crazy.
My friends and I went. Okay, we went investigating to this Japanese cemetery. Okay, it's a really big cemetery in Tokyo. And we put cat balls down. They said, I don't want to touch that. Why do I have to touch that? Like, no, I'm not going to do that. And I said, oh, okay. I said, put away the cat ball. He goes, okay.
more American ghosts are okay with them compared to Japanese ghosts, though.
And they said, we don't want to do
Yeah.
that. And I said, okay, no problem. But yeah,
I don't
it
even
was
know. I don't even
really
know where the
weird.
idea came from. I remember I started using motion balls back in 2021, I
If
think.
I think, yeah, that's what I'm saying is it's more common for it to also work in America than it confuses Japanese spirits more than anything.
I'm
Yeah.
sure it
That's what
does.
I'm saying is not every equipment is good for every country just because
No.
like cat balls might be that like I said better in America. Just over here they're just confusing to them and they're like, what? Why am I touching this? What is it gonna do?
Why is it
Yeah.
flashing up like a little disco ball? Yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh,
it just confuses them more.
Yeah, I'm not even a big equipment kind of guy. I mean, I do want to get a REM pod. I should buy a REM pod. But I don't know. I want to get a REM pod and an audio. I need like an actual audio recorder. But I just like going to places with my camera, filming,
yeah.
and whatever happens in camera happens. So far hasn't failed me. But I just never got into equipment.
That's probably why I don't use equipment when I go. I got my stones, I got my protection, but that doesn't work with a hoot when you're in Japan. So yeah, forget about that, right? But yeah, it's just like for me, I have my cat balls. I put them out, and then nope. Okay, put those away. Okay, I'm putting them away. Here I am,
Yeah,
and and I'm just talking, and then if you can't see it, so be it. If you can't see it, good for you, right?
right.
But it's just so hard trying to prove what I can do, and like,
You shouldn't have to
oh
prove it though. That's also what we tell people. If you don't believe that people have gifts,
yeah.
move on from this podcast because it's
But
not going to
I
be for you.
don't.
Mhm.
But that's why I said I don't worry about it anymore. If you don't understand, if you don't see what I can see, then so be it.
Right,
And
right.
I just move on. Like, okay,
Yeah, I
yeah.
mean, yeah, it's hard to convince. I mean, I am a very skeptical person with a
Hmm.
lot of things. Um, I do believe in psychic mediums. I think a
Hmm.
lot of people who are like Irene, I think you are, I think you have abilities. I get that
Hmm.
vibe from you. I think a lot of people out there are self-acclaimed mediums that may not be mediums,
Oh,
but they're
yeah.
really
I
good at
get that too.
reading people, and they can read the
I've
room.
had some of those.
Like
Yeah.
they think reading the room or reading people is I mean, it's an ability, all right, but I don't think it's anything of the
Mm,
supernatural. Um, but there
no.
are people out there who do have that ability, though. I think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
rare, and I think
Hmm.
Irene is definitely
It's
that rare
starting
case.
to come out more with me, but I don't claim it as like a range just because I'm coming more into it.
Hmm.
So I'm still trying to learn and handle it. And spirits keep
Hmm.
telling me you better start working on that soon. I don't know
I told
why.
her keep on working on it, but she does.
I don't I
Like,
don't know why. I don't care why.
nada.
It just said you gotta start doing it. It says or you're gonna wish you did sometime soon. And I'm
Well,
like, okay.
when did this start for you? When?
I think I grew up with it, but I was born a Baptist minister's daughter. So when you're a child and you start seeing these things, it's more of the innocence of a child,
Mhm.
gift from God. But then as soon as you get older, it changes to something else where a lot of Christians, if you have the gift, seem to be afraid of the gift, and they believe. And this is my experience. I always say my experience. I always hope people with gifts who go to church have different experiences. But my personal experience is so many people were afraid of me and afraid of me having it just because it turned into this, oh, you can see them, everything's a demon.
Yeah.
So you're either doing witchcraft to see them. And at the time, because like I said, as a Baptist minister's daughter, so I lived a very strict lifestyle. The closest thing I knew to witchcraft was the Hocus Pocus movie. I'm like, I'm clearly not doing that. I didn't know anything about witchcraft. And I'm trying to explain to them, I really don't know anything about witchcraft.
Mhm.
Or you're doing something to have a demon attachment, or you're possessed by a demon, because
Mhm.
that has to be the only logical explanation to them for you to be able to see.
Mhm.
And it's just so I had to hide it down just because the fact is it scared everyone and it wasn't good growing up with it because people would try and get this demon out of me. And I was more afraid
Hmm.
of what's gonna happen when they realize there's no demon coming out of me. How worse can this get for me?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I kinda had to, like, bury it deep and down inside, but the problem is when
Yeah.
you have the gift, it's starting to come back out, and they're like, "No, you can't keep digging this down. We're coming back out."
I find religious organizations don't like clairvoyance. They don't like anybody who can see other things than they can see,
Hmm.
what they can't see, and you get kind of like blackballed for that because I
I
used to go to
posted
church too. I'm Catholic, okay, and parishioner said, "You can't do this. You can't be doing this." And I go, "Why?" Because you can't. It's not right. And I said, "What isn't right? Who are you to tell me what's right and what's not right?" And I just said, "Okay, I'm not going. I'm done." So
Right.
I just went my own route.
And you can't win that conversation, either way. I mean, that when you talk to someone like that, it's very difficult to not convince someone when it
Oh, I
comes
don't
to
care
their
if I
religious
convince them or
beliefs.
not. I don't care
we're not
what.
going to, and we know that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've asked ministers who I grew up with, I sent them messages saying, why do and I posted this back on our podcast page not too long ago if people have an interest in what his answer is. He gave me a long answer, and I even put on there, "Hey, I asked the minister this. Just know this is not our opinion." But in
Hmm.
case anyone was curious, I asked him, "Why do Christians acknowledge the Holy Ghost and the Holy Spirit, but no other ghosts and spirits?" And he gave me this long kind of like a long explanation on why and things like that, Bible verses. So I'm like, if anyone's curious, you can see that. But like as I said, that's not our opinion, because he
No,
even said on there, people who are clairvoyant or mediums who get messages from the other side, you're getting your information from the devil himself.
Which is crazy. And
That's literally what he said. I know. I reread it, and I was like, "This is what I'm saying. We like if you guys want an answer, because I know it's always brought up and why. This is what his answer is. Someone did respond. That's his answer. It's not our opinion, though.
right.
yeah. I
I
mean, oh God, like, okay, if it's the devil, then why isn't it on that side of my house when I can see the dark energy here and I can see spirits that come from heaven here who have crossed over? Why is it that way then? Why is it that the dark energy is always over here and the crossover spirits over here? Why is that? Because you can't tell me that that's the devil if they're over here, right? No, 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 that doesn't work with me. And I'm saying, I'm sorry, I can't believe that. I can't accept that either, and it doesn't make sense to me. So,
don't know. But if you guys want to see, if you want to see the devil, I mean, this is the devil right, right here. This is the this is the devil right here. This creature from hell.
yeah, I got one too. See,
Yes. The black mark on her hand is the mark of the devil. But she just woke up. So she is very, very
mine was
tired.
just laying down.
Wow. What a tough life to be a cat. I mean, you just
Yeah,
have to lie down, sleep, talk to
yep.
ghosts all day, probably.
Mine
Or
does. Mine does. He sees spirits all the time. So, yeah. And if he doesn't like what's in the camera, he sits in front of the camera and won't let me look through it.
Now, there's
So,
podcasts where you just look at Irene's camera, you just see the cat face staring at you.
Ah,
or his butt or any other part of his body, like blocking the camera. I go, move
We're so
over.
used to it that I told Irene one of these days I'm going to make a drinking game of it. But then there's podcasts. I'm just like, I would have died if that was the drinking game today.
See?
Just seeing the cat's butthole. Yeah. That's a good idea for a podcast episode. Cat cam. How often can that cat just show up on the
Yeah.
camera? But this cat's very, very sleepy. But
How old is your cat?
I think she's 8 now. Pretty sure she's 8. Yeah. So she's
106.
127.
Well, 27 in human years.
What, your cat or my cat?
No, Irene's cat is 27 in human years. So I'm like, you can't say cat years, Irene. It doesn't make sense. Human
Yeah.
years.
Okay.
Human years. What's your cat's name, Irene?
Tama.
Emma. Well, this is Zelda. Zelda's very, very needy. But we have a running joke that when I leave to go to work, all the ghosts come out and just harass Zelda. So she just kind of hangs out with all the ghosts. But I'm not sure if I just got an old puppet. It's in my hallway hanging out, so I can't really get it out. But I think last time I got out remember the Jack in the Box that I brought out last time?
Yeah.
Yeah. But nothing really has, happened here. When my girlfriend was here the other week, she was in the living room with the cat, and I went to the bathroom, and on my way to the bathroom, I thought I heard like a sigh, like a I don't know why ghosts are always sighing around me. But this guy is the worst. But I come back out. I'm like, did you sigh? He's like, no, I sat on the couch, but I don't sigh. I'm like, all right. I'm not sure if I heard something, if it was some noise that I just heard, it wasn't anything paranormal, or someone is here just sick of my shit. It's very possible. But who knows? I got a lot of weird things. So I got an embalming pump. I have some
my gosh,
creepy dolls. Let me get this guy. I got an old embalming pump right here. So, and yeah, just a lot of dolls here and there. Got a human skull over there, which you can kind of see. If I can just move that guy. Yeah, you can see right there. But
I got it.
Yeah. But a lot of fun things in his little office.
Why is that embalming pump? I hear the name Jasper from it.
Jasper?
Jasper. Jasper.
Jasper. I don't know. I got it from an antique shop in Jersey. A couple years ago,
weird.
actually.
Ugh.
But
yeah, that's a really unusual name that came out of it too.
Jasper. Yeah, I don't know. But there's a lot of
that's really freaky.
things.
When I heard that, I said, "Oh, Jasper." I go, "Huh?"
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I never
don't know.
Yeah, never investigated
It could
it.
belong to that person, or that person had something done to him when he died. Either or. Pick your choice.
Yeah. I don't know. I never investigated that item. We've investigated the doll back there, named Adele, but no, it's been pretty quiet for the most part. So I think I mentioned I think I told the story last time, where my ex and we got a haunted portrait of a baby. I think we named it Baby Charles, and it was a portrait of this child with club feet, like deformed feet, and it was done by his mother. But the portrait, they believe it was haunted by the child, the mother, and the father. And we brought the portrait home. We still had it in bubble wrap, and it was just in the living room. And we're walking down the hallway towards the bedroom. I take her right into the laundry room, and she goes to the bedroom, and I still hear her talking. She's still talking. So I'm like, why did you do this? I can't hear. I'm in a different room. So I go in the bedroom. I'm like, what did you say? That wasn't me talking. I thought it was you talking. I'm like, no. So we just heard this woman talking basically after we finished our conversation, walking down the hallway. And then one night, then after that, we hung up the painting of the portrait in the hallway. And then the one night, I worked overnight shifts for a very hot minute, um, and I'm at work on break, and she sends me a video, and she's freaking out because she heard like a thud against the wall in the hallway, like a thud against the wall and a dragon sound against the wall.
Oof.
And she was in the room doing a puzzle on the bed, and the cat was asleep. But the noise was so loud, the cat woke up and was on full alert. And she's filming the cat, and she's like, "Zelda, what was that?" And when she sent me the video, it was in my car, listening to it on my car speakers. And when I hear her ask, "What was that?" right after she says that, I can hear, "What was that?" And something mimicking her right after that, like a whisper. And I text her and I say, "Hey, watch that video again, but listen very carefully." And she's like, "Oh, do you hear that too?" I'm like, "Yeah, I sure do." So it's whenever she asked what was that to the cat, just to be kind of just playful with the cat, something mimicked her right after that. It was weird. The portrait's gone; she's gone. But the hallway is, I'm trying to rebuild the hallway into a spooky-ish hallway. So I have a portrait out there. I have a puppet. I have a puppet hanging up on there. If you go on my Facebook, you can see the picture of the puppet. It's an old one. But I'll see. My idea is to turn it to the hallway of cursed paintings.
You know how Adele died?
I have no idea. I know nothing about that. When I got that doll from an oddity shop, they sell a lot of haunted items. So that's where I got the Jack in the Box. But Adele was not in the area of haunted objects. Who's just there as an antique doll. So, but she stuck out to me. I was like, I need this doll. So I said, "Hey, how much is it?" "Great. I might come back for it. We'll see." And when I came back, the doll was still there, obviously. And the guy's like, "Hey, I spoke to the owner, his wife, and she said she'll give it to me for a good price." And then next thing I know, the doll's coming home with me. But no,
I know how Adele died already.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends on if you want to hear it or not.
Yeah, I do. Like I said, I don't know anything about her, so anything you can tell me.
Bump on the beanie, okay? That's what I'm going to tell you lately.
What is it?
Bump on the beanie. You'll find, you know what that is, right?
Yeah.
Bang.
Bump. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So she got hit. So she. Do you think it was accidental? Do you think it was?
It was accidental. She was alive for a little while, and she succumbed to her injury, and she just passed away. She wasn't that old either.
Did the doll belong to her? Do you think, or?
She's saying 5 years old.
Okay. Now keep in mind the name Adele. I just named her Adele. That wasn't her, and there was no.
No, I mean she took on that name because you called her that name. It wasn't her original name. She said, "Well, now my name is Adele because my owner called me that name, and that's the name that I went with. And my real name is not important anymore, so you can call me Adele." Okay.
And you think she was a child in the past life? Okay.
Children died a long time ago of silly certain circumstances. and they weren't always like children nowadays don't die that easily, right? Because they're more careful. But now I'm looking at it. She's saying to me she got hit on the head, but I have a feeling she fell. She
Hmm.
fell to her death. She didn't die of somebody that hit her on the head. That's what she's saying to people, but that doesn't mean that's not really what happened to her.
Hmm.
So it's totally different. I'm seeing her plunging to her death. I didn't see her getting hit with anything, although she's telling me, I got hit on the head. And I said, no, you didn't. You fell, didn't you? And she said,
No, Irene was
wait,
I'm trying to figure out how to say this social media friendly since Facebook likes to always tag our podcast, but she was by a father figure
okay,
I'm seeing
okay,
he was hurting her.
okay. So,
Hmm.
yeah, so he beat her up, right? That's why
Yeah.
she's telling me all these crazy stories because she doesn't want anybody to know the truth about her. That's why.
So it could have
Y-
been like all it could have been hit in the head, it could have been thrown, it could have been
Yeah, or it could have
fell
been
because she
tossed,
did
or it should
that.
been it could have been thrown across the room, or it could have been anything like. That's why
Yeah,
Right.
I've also seen thrown against the wall,
I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm seeing her being like
so
that.
it could have been hit head,
Yeah.
fell.
Yeah, and I
Hmm.
think it was bleeding inside the head because there wasn't very much blood coming out, but I think it was in the head. Just she bled to death.
Right
Yeah.
here, Irene.
Yeah,
I feel something right here.
yeah, because it hurts.
Yeah.
It just went poof and it, ooh, my head hurts. I said, oh my gosh. Yeah, it just, oh, that's why I got a ex- huge headache afterwards. I said, what is
Getting it
this?
right here. So,
Yeah, yeah. It was really nasty the way she died.
Huh.
but I am seeing she is she does like a blue dress.
Yeah,
She's kind of spinning around, dancing, showing off a blue dress. So
she had hair down to here, doesn't she?
yeah,
The,
that's
the,
what I'm seeing.
yeah, she's got hair down to her shoulders. Sometimes she do it in a pigtail, sometimes back here. It's depending on her days. Do you see blonde or dirty blonde, Amanda?
I'm seeing dirty blonde.
Yeah, that's what I figured too.
So I'm seeing the same thing you are, but I'm also seeing her because she's also showing me off her. Do you see the blue dress?
Yeah,
I'm seeing her dance around happy in
it's
a
got
blue dress.
it's got
Like
little
that was
ruffles. It's got
yes,
little
I
ruffles.
yeah, that's what she felt the prettiest in. Is what she
Yeah,
said.
yeah,
She feels like a little princess in it.
yeah,
That's her princess dress.
yeah.
And I think I missed it. Do you think the doll belonged to her? Was that her doll? You think?
I think the doll was on a shelf and she just
Latched
probably
onto it.
adored
I
it
think
so
it
much.
was one of those things where it was like to
Yeah,
her only
yeah,
friend. If
yeah.
that makes if
And
that
she
makes
talked to it,
yeah.
and she said had secrets that she said to the doll, and eventually the doll became her when
It's
she
her
died.
safety,
Yeah,
her comfort thing, her comfort object.
yeah.
Hmm.
Because the way she died was not good. That's what that way.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling her body was just not even a proper burial. Her body was just dug a hole and just threw her in there and covered it up and said, "C'est la vie."
Mm.
It's because yeah, it's I'm not feeling like she felt loved,
No,
unfortunately. She did not feel
he-
love at home, even after death when she kind
no,
of saw
no,
her after the family's like,
Mm.
whatever. Yeah, it's just like, who cares? Oh well, so what?
All right.
Just toss her in here, cover it up, and just pretend it nothing happened.
You think she was
Unfortunately,
young?
back in the day, that was easier to do.
Yeah,
Right. All right. You
no
think she was
casket,
young?
no
Like
casket, no nothing. Just
in the ground.
threw her in a hole and just covered her up.
Yeah, she's brokenhearted by that too.
Yeah,
You think
not even a head marker.
you think she's what, maybe 5 years old, you think? Around that age?
She's told me 5, but she's
Mm.
not that old. She's not that young either, and she's not that old either. So she could be about 5 or 6 years old.
Right.
Oh, and she was deprived of food too. They didn't feed her,
Hmm.
so she's telling
She's not
me,
in a,
yeah, she didn't. She
she's not
didn't get.
understanding why
Yeah,
and what she did to deserve it, and
yeah,
it's unfortunately it's one of those things where I'm trying to tell her it's not her.
Mm.
no,
And I think that's also why she hasn't found her peace, is she still doesn't understand
yeah,
why she was treated that way or why what she did to not get the love. And it's just like, unfortunately,
yeah,
like it's not
Right.
you were in a crappy situation, Adele. I'm sorry, it's not you.
yeah. It's
You did
just
nothing to deserve that.
no.
Mm.
It, you know, people sometimes are born under, not because they wanted him or because it was an accident or stuff like that. It just happens. It happens, right? You haven't, and you don't have control over what happened, and it's a shame that happens. So,
She
I,
yeah, I see her trying to always stay out of her
yeah,
family's way,
yeah,
Mm.
holding on to that puppet.
yeah. It's it became her afterwards, and that's what she loved, and that's what she became, and that's who she is right now.
I
Which
don't think she still believes that she deserves better because
Mm.
no,
unfortunately she kind of grew up being
yeah, she was in an
told something
abusive
else.
situation.
Yeah,
So, so if you're
mentally and physically. So unfortunately, it's like
Yeah.
she doesn't feel like she deserves the peace or the
no, she
or
doesn't feel
better. I
she just
wonder, is that why she's still around, Irene? She just doesn't feel like she
she
deserves
just
that.
or nobody loves her, or anybody should give her any attention. Um,
Well, I'll give her some attention. Let me bring her right to the computer. Hold on. Let me grab this big old doll. Oh, Jesus. Make my headphones real quick. Oh my goodness. Oh no. There we go. Okay. Just breaking everything on the process. Here we go. Oh boy. Okay. All right. Her arm kind of hangs off, but we just it's like
It
carrying
was
it.
all yeah.
I forgot her eyes closed when you lie her down. Oh boy. We just fix my headset here. Give me 2 seconds here. How did I do that? There we go. Okay. You can hear me, right?
yeah,
Mhm.
Okay. So I mean, this doll is big. So it's like a toddler. But basically, got her right here. And her arm does kind of come off a little bit. but that's personality to it. But yeah, this is Adele. So it's a very interesting doll, to say the least. So like I said, I got this from the Creeper Gallery down in New Hope, Pennsylvania, and it's an oddity shop. They do sell a lot of supposedly haunted items, but this was not one of them. Now, if anyone was attached to this doll, which is, I do believe it. Do you think it's possible that it might have been a spirit at the shop itself, attached to another, or this was way before that,
Yeah,
pre that?
because I see her holding that doll tight.
Right, right.
I
But
see I see her in a bare room with barely
Mm-hmm.
anything on her bed, and that was like the
Mm-hmm.
one thing she had, and she's just kind
Mm-hmm.
of holding it tight because that's her one thing.
Yeah. She hardly had any bed covers either.
Yeah, I'm not seeing really any bed covers. I'm not even seeing a
Mm,
pillow.
Nope.
hmm.
That's the what's heartbreaking. I'm like, I'm not seeing any of that. I wish I did, but just
It's a bare wall, small room, like even the places where you've seen them before, where they have a room, a little room with a little door, and it's a room
yeah,
behind a room, and like they used to use those rooms for punishment. If you're
Well,
bad, they throw you in the room and they put the lock on the door. That's the kind of room that she was in.
I
wow.
don't even know if anyone else. If, I think this is why they were able to get away with kind of like throwing her body wherever is they just kind of kept her in there. So I guess I don't think anyone in the parents' or caregiver. She doesn't call them parents. Maybe it's because of how they treated her. But I don't think anyone actually in the person's lives really knew about her because she's just kind of like left back there.
Hmm.
Yeah, like she was like I hate to say, even a dog is better treated than she was.
Yeah, I don't even see a blanket.
Nope. It was a tattered room, like in a
Dirty,
closet.
raggedy clothes.
Yeah, in a closet. In a closet, there was a little door, and there's a room behind the closet. That's where I see her, and it's just big enough to like it's like a cubby hole or something like that.
Let me put her back real quick. It's just a heavy doll and just heard a weird noise in the hallway. 1 second.
Just a second, I'll be right back.
Okay.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. All right. All right. But yeah, Adam, I don't know. I don't know. But it's oh, did I miss
Yeah.
Irene? Did Irene Bell?
Unfortunately, that's what we also say in the paranormal. And I know social media doesn't like that talked about, but I'm like, unfortunately, that's what happens with spirits left behind. Is it's either sad or tragic or something like that. Or in Irene's area, it's more people took their own lives. Spirits around her.
Yeah. But Amanda, do you have a hunch or a time frame? 1800s, maybe 1700s. The doll isn't that. I don't know. I feel like the doll is like early 1900s, maybe. I don't know.
What did you think that doll's from? Where she
Eighteen
was from?
hundreds, 18.
1800s.
It might be late 1800s, early 1900s.
Yeah,
Hmm.
because her clothes are a little bit different than you see now.
Well, that also doesn't. They just kind of like bought the cheapest thing they could basically find. So,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
that's good, sturdy because she didn't really have anything else. And that's what's
No.
sad is they just she was that in. I don't think she must not have been planned. She at 5 years old, she's not. She says she doesn't know. But I'm
Yeah.
like, you were treated like you came. You're unplanned, and you just were not prepared or planned for. I guess.
Oh, I'm hearing something else that's really interesting that you might want to know. Uh she was let's put it this way. You know when people are married they have children? Well, she was born um they parents must have been married and she was like, oops, like that was somebody else's kid. Or he must have had an affair or something like that when that she got pregnant and she couldn't those days you had to give birth to the kid, right?
Hmm.
So you couldn't get rid of it, so she was forced to have that kid, and she was really unwanted, and it was a boo boo, and they treated her as a boo boo.
Gotcha.
But
I don't.
you know,
I don't know if it was actually their kid or it could have been that, but the mother it's either that or there's someone else in his house where the mother died, and back then
mm,
the father just kind of took off because he didn't want anything to do with the kid. And
no,
obviously, back then it's harder to find people if they just kind of take off. Like, I don't want this anymore. They can start a new
yeah,
life,
yeah, or
and
the
they were just
kid's
kind
not
of stuck.
mine, or
That's why she refers to them as father figure and not father because it's not actually her
no,
parents.
it's not her father
Like
at
they
all.
were just
It's
kind of like left with the kid, and
yeah, like somebody did the nasty, and all
Hmm.
of a sudden she was born, and there we go. It happens, right?
So obviously, yeah, obviously a very unfortunate childhood with a very unfortunate, exit.
Mm,
But hopefully, as time goes on, she finds some ease here instead of being stuck in a shop somewhere.
yeah.
But you know,
She's
try.
not gonna haunt your place
No, it's fine. She can.
because
She can
she's
make herself known if she wanted to. I'm not
but
gonna.
she's afraid of making a mistake of because what she went
she
through.
doesn't. The reason why she's not really haunting your house is like we were saying before. I mean,
Mm,
if her presence was known, it kind of upset the father figure. So
yeah,
Hmm.
and
she's
he
trying. She's trying
he
to like. She's trying to not be known just for that reason. Is that's all
Right.
yeah.
she knows.
So she won't. She's not gonna move around. She's not gonna. She's
Yeah.
just gonna stay there and just be
Do her
an
thing.
entity. Yeah, a spirit in the doll. That's it. Because if she did anything, she'd be left hook, right hook, and boom.
Hmm.
So that's why she was very quiet.
I remember when I got that Jack in the Box, and I remember I have it right over there, and you can actually see it right there. But I was in here with my cat, and my cat came in. I was like, "Hey, this is just talking to the box." I'm like, "Hey, this is my cat Zelda. You're more than welcome to, um, say hi to her. If you want to pet her, you can." Now, mind you, the cat is lying down on my feet, basically on the floor. When you
Hmm.
pet her, her toes, her beans curl, like they do what cats do. And as soon as I said that, her toes began to do this with her feet, as if someone was actually petting her. I'm sure it's just really good timing, but it was just
Hmm.
interesting. And that was with that Jack in the Box. But yeah, overall, it's with Adele. I if she wants to make herself known, that's okay. Um, but also, it's understandable that someone who had a traumatic experience existing, um, that's understandable. Um, but hopefully, she becomes more comfortable and can consider
She
this to be
is.
her home, basically.
You might
She
just have
So,
is.
to occasionally remind her that it's okay. No
Yeah.
one there is going to hurt her. She's allowed to move freely and be known. No one's going to hurt her because she's
yeah,
still. I mean, unfortunately, that's how she grew up. Was if
She was
I do or say
petrified.
or
Let's
move or
put it
make
that way.
noise,
Be
yeah.
seen, be not known, be not heard, be quiet.
And mind you, when I was holding the doll a bit ago, when you guys were talking, I did. I'm sure it's maybe a neighbor. I did hear two thuds down the hallway. Not sure it was anything, but it was just really, really odd
Mm.
timing. Um, but yeah, who knows? I mean, it's. I got Adele hanging out.
Uh-huh.
I got the Jack in the Box, who they believe um, the girl attached to it died in a fire. And that Jack in the Box, I think I mentioned this last time, a Jack in the Box was a gift from her father to her.
Mm-hmm.
The reports that she's known to play with the Jack in the Box. But you know, either way, it's a when I saw that item, when I saw that box, it just stuck out to me. I was like, that's a very unique item, and it's just stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
So a few months later, I'm back down and brought it home. But if there's anyone actually attached to it, same thing. I hope they feel comfortable. If I bring anything in this apartment that has any kind of attachment, I don't. Yeah, I know some people want to. Some people when they get haunted items, quote unquote haunted items, they want to be haunted. They want things to be going crazy, moving around. As a
Uh,
conversation, I'm sure this sounds familiar.
yeah, we've had a
But
conversation before we went live
I
where we're
remember, yeah,
saying
yeah,
that
I
not everyone should have a haunted
right,
item.
right. And what was my point with this? I don't expect that, and I don't really carry the weight of that kind of thing. It was active. If they're active, great. What matters is that they're comfortable and they can call this their home as well. And if they never make a peep, that's okay with me too. But it's it's as long if there's anyone attached to these any of these items, here or anywhere, you want them to be comfortable. You want them to be at ease and to be content. But
I don't think Adele. Tell me if you feel the same thing. I don't think Adele's mother was around. Like she either died in childbirth or she was too afraid of the father to do anything. But I'm feeling the lack of mother from her life.
mm. Somebody's telling me mother got murdered. I wonder if he did it.
I'm, I feel his debt because there's something with the mother was afraid of him too.
Yeah, I feel that she was
That's one thing
whipped.
she remembers is the
She,
mother was afraid.
yeah, I think she was whipped. I think she was beaten. I think she was bludgeoned to death. I think she died also.
I'm feeling lack of mother. Yeah.
I think she was killed.
hmm.
But he kept
Oh
her away from the mother too, so she doesn't really have any much memory
no,
of what the mother even looked like. Because she's like, I just don't. My mother was like, wasn't able to be near me.
no. I think she was. Yeah, I think she was. He was a real piece of work. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
that's what I'm
sounds
seeing.
it.
Yeah. But I'm seeing though that she would love for you to next time you're at a store and you see like maybe a small stuffed animal or something, just go ahead and get
Yeah,
it for her
Right.
yeah.
because she never.
And
I mean, she's never really had any other toys. You came in here, especially from you. being,
Mhm.
"Hey, Adele, I got this for you. I thought you'd like it." It would be something completely different than
Right.
Yeah. Or
obviously what she.
even once in a while give her a hug, because I think she's never had a hug in her life. I think
She's never actually
if
had
you
affection, so
no, if you gave her a hug every once in a while, it'll help
her
her.
birthday's never really celebrated, so she herself doesn't really know her exact age. So
Yeah.
Right.
So if you gave her a hug every once in a while, she'll be happy. And
Mhm.
give her maybe a Jolly Rancher in front of her, something like a hard candy. It'll be nice for her.
she's
Even
telling me a little chocolate.
yeah,
So stuffed animals and chocolates. You got it, Adele. Not a problem.
yeah.
Not a problem.
It's unfortunate the way she passed.
Yeah, because she's never really, like I said, she's never really had any other toys. So I mean, the gesture alone of giving her like a little stuffed animal
Right.
would be
Yeah,
huge to her.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. She's like I said, as long as she feels comfortable as time goes on, fantastic.
It's gonna have to eventually be learned because unfortunately, I mean, she grew up in a not safe
Oh
situation,
yeah,
so
of course,
unfortunately, that's
yeah.
the only thing she knows.
And there's a cat she can play with too. The cat's very friendly. but but yeah, I think those two things are. I'm curious about that embalming pump. Get the name Jesper, you said?
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know too much about it. Got it from an antique shop down in somewhere in Jersey.
I
But
don't know if it's an old man. Feels like it's an old man.
Before you said that, I'm not. So I'm seeing the doctor who used it. He's between old and middle age,
Yeah,
if that makes sense. I don't.
he's in between, isn't he?
But I guess back then he'd be considered old.
Yeah.
hmm.
Even after you're 40 years old, you can be considered old.
Wait, how old? I'll be 38 in a few months. Am I old, Arian? Do I?
I'm older than you.
What are you, 22?
Uh,
Oh
no comment.
man.
Jeez. 50? Maybe. Yeah, 50.
Hmm.
Mm. 50 years old. He goes, he's saying this to me. He asked me, why am I guessing? Because I am guessing, because you didn't tell me how old you are. That's why. He goes, ha 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 ha. Oh, well. So much for that one.
But
Yeah.
you guys should absolutely plan a trip to come to Gettysburg.
Oh gosh, the
I
things
think,
we would see there, Irene. I mean,
yeah,
people without gifts say they see things all the time there. I can't imagine what you and I would see.
Oh, you know what? I wouldn't get any sleep.
Probably not.
yeah.
I used to
It's
get waking up around 2 a.m. in the morning. Go, what the hell?
Gettysburg is one of those places that's best. That it is. It's a good example of the little time slip thing. We're kind of overlapping time, just because people who work in old Civil War, old Civil, old buildings during the war back then. One person said her and her coworker worked at this building that ended up being used as a hospital
Mhm.
there,
yeah.
and they pressed they're going down the elevator, they pressed the first floor, but for some odd reason the elevator skipped the first floor and went to the
Yep.
basement, And
Mhm.
when it opens, all of a sudden they see nurses running around, soldiers that were injured. They're trying to take care of the soldiers, and they're freaking out, hold on to each other because it looked like they were there. They said it
Mhm.
Right.
looks like we were completely there, but no one was paying attention to us. But one soldier, he was badly injured in the legs, and he just looked up at them, and he's just staring at them before the elevator door finally closed and it went back up. And I was like, I wonder if it was one of those time slip things, and he thought he was gonna die anyway, so
Mhm.
he probably was accepting it, and he probably just thought that was what he was seeing was, oh, I guess it's my time. I can't
Can you
imagine
imagine?
being.
Yeah, and even just like being on that elevator and going down and just having the doors open and witnessing a potential amputation scene, basically, or some
Oh
kind of
yeah.
surgical incident. It's crazy, and that's a lot of the floors in different buildings in Gettysburg are still stained with blood.
Yeah.
The Jenny Wade house, the only civilian to be killed during the Battle of Gettysburg, her blood is still on the floor upstairs on the second floor, stained. The Balladary Inn, which is a bed and breakfast, that was a Confederate hospital, I believe. But in a dining room, there are still blood stains on the floor. So there's blood all over that town,
Mhm.
just stained throughout, and even in the fields. And I forget. I mean, yeah, you have the fields surrounding the town of Gettysburg, but a friend of mine, she made a good point. The whole town was a battlefield, even at
Mhm.
downtown, which was a few buildings compared to now, but the whole town was part of the battlefield. There was so much fighting in and out of the buildings, around the buildings, and you know, you have cannon fire. You
Mhm.
get hit with a cannon, your body is gonna go, like a tomato being blasted apart. You're gonna have bone fragments throughout that land, and I
Mhm.
guarantee you, there's still some remains in the soil of Gettysburg. So I'm sure it's not, not a lot, but there's still particles of human remains out there yet to be
Mhm.
discovered. So there's still soldiers' remains hidden somewhat deep in the soil in Gettysburg.
Oh yeah.
Um, so there's so much energy there, and it's so. And like I said, it doesn't matter where you go in that town.
Mhm.
If you're looking for it, or if you're not, even if you're not looking for it, you're gonna experience something most likely. It's a crazy, crazy place, and the mystery is, why is it so active? Is it one of those places on the planet where the veil is just thinner? You know, like different places around the globe just
Mhm.
have more activity compared to others. The question is why? And why is Gettysburg one of those places where it's so active? You know?
Mhm.
Because not this one building, it's a whole town.
Yeah.
Well, it also kind of goes to the theory that sometimes people don't realize that they're dead
Yeah.
Yeah.
because, like they said, for an example, maybe they got shot from behind and they didn't realize it. To them, they just fell and got back up,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. They get shot.
not
They're
realizing that they left their body.
yeah. They're in a state of shock. Like I said, not realizing they're actually dead, you know?
Mhm.
But
They
I know.
don't they don't believe that they're dead. They don't think that they're dead. They think that they're still alive, and they think they're still there in that time warp, and yeah, that's where they're gonna stay.
It makes sense. I know someone who said, he's a big Sasquatch kind of guy. But he goes to Gettysburg quite often, and he said, he believes whatever is there is older than the Battle of Gettysburg. I mean, right outside the town of Gettysburg, near Cashtown, there was a huge Native American massacre that took place. I think over 1,000 Indians were killed. Um, so it goes way before even the battle began.
Mhm.
Um, and I'm sure that massacre and the Battle of Gettysburg, I'm sure all enhanced
Mhm.
the energy there. So that
made it
town,
stronger.
yeah, that land might have been already pretty sensitive and high in energy, but the battles just made it even stronger and perhaps enhanced it. And with that huge body count of how many soldiers died on both sides, you're going to have that energy increase. You're going to have that energy of the soldiers also kind of lingering around and causing an array of hauntings.
I don't know if it's called hauntings.
And that's the thing. I know where did I go? I went to this old World War II POW camp in Pennsylvania, deep in the woods. And the guy, the Sasquatch guy, Chad, he said that place is interesting. And I asked him, I'm like, do you think it's haunted? And he goes, I wouldn't say it's haunted. I would say it's active. And that stuck with me. And I can kind of see that with different places where it's like, oh, is it haunted? I'm like, I don't know if I would call it haunted, but it's definitely active.
Yeah.
Like there's something going on there.
Definitely. Most definitely. Yeah.
But I would say Gettysburg is it's definitely haunted. That town is haunted as hell. Especially this old inns. Like it's bananas.
I'm still willing to write that recommendation letter for you to be the Gettysburg spokesperson.
Gettysburg ambassador.
Yeah.
It's fine with me. I'll go.
You need to be an ambassador? Want Lawrence.
I'll become the poster boy, the poster child of Gettysburg. God. At one point, I used to go there all the time, like almost every weekend. I think it's back in 21, 22. I used to go, in 2021 and 2022, I used to go there all the time, especially in the summertime and in the fall. I used to go there all the time. And I still kind of do. Like I said, it's only 2 hours away. So it's not a bad drive at all. And it's a day trip. Go there early in the morning, come back sometime at night. It's not too bad. But yeah, I'll be there on the 9th of October doing a short documentary, and I'll be staying in the 400th house. I think for the 14th time. But and I'll take pictures and I'll put them on Facebook. But that place, man, I'm telling you, like, I always recommend people if you go to Gettysburg, go in the summertime or the fall, experience it, but go in the winter and spend the night there somewhere in town. Because it's a ghost town. Nobody's there. No tourists. It's dead. And that's, I think, is when it's most active in the wintertime, based on my experience.
Or even when it rains, you'll find a lot of activity too when the weather is kind of freaky.
Oh, yeah. I believe it. Yeah. I went to the
cloudy, when it rains, they'll come out more.
Yeah, I believe it. I mean, when I was at the Greystone Manor up in Western New York, it was storming out. It was downpouring out there. And the place was so friggin' active. I was the only one there. I was the only guest in the whole building. But it's a giant Victorian bed and breakfast. And it was crazy. Had a giggling, music boxes going off by themselves. There were no music boxes in the house, but one was going off by itself somewhere. I'm very skeptical of REM pods, even though I do want one. So I've never really seen a REM pod be successful in terms of, because when you get near the antenna or you touch the antenna, it lights up, makes a loud, obnoxious noise because there's energy being detected around the antenna. I've only ever seen REM pods go off when there's a temperature change in the environment. But at the Greystone Manor, I had the REM pod at the end of the table in the dining area, and all of a sudden it starts lighting up, going off like crazy, in very responsive manners, as if someone is actually touching the REM pod itself. And I've never seen that happen before. I've never seen it since. Only at that place is where I've seen that REM pod really go off the way it should be going off. And like I said, it was raining, pouring outside, stormy, and that place was as active as it could be. But that was the Greystone Manor up in Gasport, New York, kind of western, a good 5-hour drive, basically. It was a long drive.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Lawrence in general is very interesting. He's gonna be one of those people that we bother for like part 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I try
Like
to be.
part 3, part 4, all the way to part 20.
You let me know. I'll come on whenever.
Well, we'll have to do a road trip anyways. I have to go. I got friends bothering me, so guess I gotta go.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned West Virginia. I know our state border is West Virginia, Pennsylvania. So you got to make a
Yeah,
trip up to PA.
I
You,
will.
you can go to Gettysburg. We'll take a selfie, send it to Amanda. It's fine. And be like, look, well, let's Photoshop Amanda's face in it. Like it's like she's here with us, but not really.
Oh, don't worry, we know someone who could CGI me there.
We'll transport her there.
Here we go. Perfect.
Beam her down.
Like a portal. Like here comes Amanda. Oh God.
The
But
funniest picture, actually.
Oh gosh. I guess I've been watching too much Star Trek. Okay.
You know, in Star Trek, it wasn't originally supposed to be, what is it? Beam me up, Scotty. It was supposed to be, the original line was beam us up, Mr. Scott. But whoever said it first accidentally said it that way. Beam me up, Scotty, and they just realized they like it more than beam us up, Mr. Scott.
Yeah.
So you're like, you know what? Let's just go with it.
Yeah.
beam me up, Scott. It's a lot catchier. In fact, it's easier to sing too.
That's what they said. Is he accidentally said it by accident? And we're like, you know what? That works better. Let's just go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it became one of those reoccurring lines. Originally, I think it was supposed to be like a one and done. Beam us up, Mr. Scott. But then they're like,
Beam us up, Mr. Scott. No, don't like that.
No.
yeah. And then he's
Beam
like,
up, Scotty.
then the guy was like, beam me up, Scotty. And you're like, yeah, we'll stick with that.
Hell yeah.
Sounds too stuffy, the other one.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. It's one of those mistakes that ended up in the show long term. And they're like, yeah, we just kind of went with it.
I've never seen an episode of Star Trek. I've never seen a full episode, I should say.
Oh darn!
Never.
I like the old ones.
I remember the '90s one. Was it the next? Not Next Generation.
Next Generation.
Yeah. Okay, that's what it was. Yeah. I remember that was on TV all the time, but I never.
I just know if you're gonna be an extra, you knew you're gonna die if they gave you the red shirt.
Yeah.
Oh really? Was that
Yeah.
They said for some odd reason, all the fans say this. You watch Star Trek, you knew when you saw a red shirt they were not going to survive. If you had another kind of shirt, you're probably going to survive. Red shirt, nah, you're going to be that person they're sacrificing.
Yeah.
Oh wow. That's an interesting tidbit. Yeah. I never.
So they handed you a red shirt. You're like, oh, you want me to not survive? Okay.
Yeah, right. Imagine that feeling. It's like, yeah, I got a new career. I'm gonna be on this awesome show. The first day, get a red shirt. It's like, are you kidding me?
Dang.
Be dead within the next. But
might as well write my obituary.
No, I never got into Star Wars either. Like I remember being a big fan of Empire Strikes Back when I was younger, like much younger. But I never really got into the whole space exploration movie or show craze for whatever reason. Except for Aliens. The Alien franchise, I'm a big fan of.
Yeah.
But
I like the Aliens too.
Well, that's a good transition. So
then Disney took over Star Wars, and they just
started
changing it way too much.
And it became really boring afterwards. Like,
because Disney had to do their Disney thing. So,
well, that sounds right for Disney. Yeah, and they acquired Fox Studios, so you got the Predator, Alien franchise under the belt. Yeah, they got Disney owns pretty much everything. It's crazy.
Mm.
Yeah. But speaking of aliens, so going back to that conversation where, you know, are spirits, the deceased? Are they us in the future or the past? There's a theory that
Aliens don't want us knowing his theory.
Oops. Oops.
It's
Okay.
one of those things where you get to that point where it's like you, Irene. We get to that point and it says, "No, I don't want you talking about this." Bitch, you are.
I can tell you, Adele did that. She was having fun with this. It's
I think I know where he's
nothing.
going with that, though. We have heard the theory aliens are actually us from the future,
Yeah.
which almost makes sense just because. Well, it does make sense, but it also goes with the whole thing that we were saying, talking about way
Mm.
before on this show, where
Yeah.
aliens helped us back then.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look how much they built. They showed us how to make the samurai sword. How many
Mm-hmm.
of the pyramids they built, other things they helped us with, compared
Yeah.
to now.
Yeah.
They're just sitting back and watching us kind of.
Oh, did you know they found a sunken city off the coast of Japan? It's really weird. It was an
They're
old
finding
city.
more sunken cities now, because that's not the first one I recently heard about.
No, it's really weird. Yeah. They don't know why or who or when or anything like that. They just don't know why it's there. And they said it's really weird.
I know they found one also in a Sahara desert, and they said not too far
Mm-hmm.
they found a whale carcass.
Wow.
So they think maybe that was once the ocean, because other than that, there's no
Mm-hmm.
reason why a whale. They found a whole entire whale
Mm-hmm.
skeleton out there, and they're just like, there's no reason why in the middle of the desert there should be a whale skeleton unless it was
Unless it was
once an
ocean,
ocean.
right? A long time ago, right?
Yeah,
Before it dried up into a desert.
but
Yeah,
they're
there's
also
a.
saying the Sahara Desert is it. They're starting to discover more things out there. Like they recently just discovered. They recently discovered some more cities hidden out there, and they said because of how hot it is now,
Mm-hmm.
obviously that's why they're not.
They can't dig around there. It's
They
like,
can't dig. It's mostly unexplored, and I
yeah.
get it because there's just like it's too hot.
And plus, they get the windstorms every once in a while, right?
Yeah,
So you get
they said with
sandstorms.
conditions, that's why a
Yeah.
lot of it is unexplored.
Yeah. It's just really like it's treacherous there. Even if you're hydrated well, it's just, yeah, you can't stand it out there. Can you message him?
He is not able to get back in. He's not sure why. So I think we're gonna
Yeah.
call this a night on the show. So
Yeah.
everyone who listens,
Yeah.
thank you so much, and we will see you next time. Bye for
Bye
now.
bye.